So let's play a little game. 1 fat gram equals 9 calories. 1 gram of protein or gram of carbohydrates each has 4 calories. But do you know how many calories are in 1 gram of alcohol? So the answer to that question is 7, if you didn't know that. Alcohol does have calories. You wish maybe it didn't have any calories, or maybe you just assume that magically it didn't. And that's probably because there's no nutrition facts. There's no panel that you're used to seeing with other beverages or foods or supplements. And it's primarily because the FDA, the Food Drug Administration, that regulates things that I talked about, beverages, foods, supplements, they do not regulate the alcohol industry. The regulatory body that does is Alcohol and Tobacco Tax Trade Bureau. They don't require that level of labeling like the FDA does. Now, regardless of what you are required to do, Bud Light decided to use one of these nutrition facts, and they decided to also boast about it, use it as a marketing opportunity that they put on the grandest scale of all for commercials, the Super Bowl. And as a CPG strategist, it was one of probably the 2 most impactful commercials for the CPG industry. And I'll pop up the one I believe is probably the other one. It just so happens to also be from Bud Light.
And that's how you brew it.
My king, this corn syrup was just delivered.
That's not ours. We don't brew Bud Light with corn syrup.
Miller Lite uses corn syrup.
Let us take it to them at once. But if something did happen, we'd eat the wizard first, right?
Yes. Oh, yes.
Oh, brewers of Miller Lite, we received your corn syrup by mistake.
That's not our corn syrup. We received our shipment this morning.
You're joking.
Try the Coors Light Castle. They also use corn syrup.
Can you smoke outside?
Oh, brewers of Coors Light, is this corn syrup yours?
Well, well, well. Looks like the corn syrup has come home to be brewed. To be clear, we brew Coors Light with corn syrup.
Bud Light, brewed with no corn syrup.
So as you can see, Bud Light used their hilarious dilly dilly commercials that are kind of set in that medieval times. Though it was very humorous, it also had, they also used it to bring awareness to a subject matter that is near and dear to anybody that's kind of involved in the consumer packaged goods industry. Because this idea of like transparency, clean label movement, this is all around us. This is happening all the time. Consumers are now interested in getting more information. They have all this information at their fingertips on the internet. So they no longer will just accept what big CPG brands or any marketer that's trying to pull wool over their eyes. I mean, this is kind of a unique time. So alcohol brands, beer brands, them not having to do some of this stuff. Consumers have been speaking a little bit, and alcohol brands, very smart, very large alcohol portfolios like AB InBev have been kind of paying attention to this and decided, hey, we're gonna take a stand with Bud Light. We're gonna try this out. And as kind of daring as it might seem and so different, actually in 2016, the beer industry kind of voluntarily decided that by 2020, they would start labeling their product. So Bud Light's just kind of getting a head start on it. They figured, hey, we'll be a first mover, we'll bring some attention to this, hopefully we'll ruffle some feathers, we'll be that challenger brand, that challenger mentality. We'll see what happens out in the market, see if consumers react positively to this. Depending on how diverse your major beer brand drinking is, you might have noticed that, be it like Corona or Heineken, Guinness, even Coors Light, there are certain nutritional facts or things kind of hidden, be it on some of the packaging, kind of on the bottom, or maybe a call out to carb count or calorie count or something, but they're usually pretty hidden. They're usually not something that's just kind of big and bold like Bud Light decided to do. Because Bud Light decided to just kind of be big old white box, black lettering, just like it is with nutrition facts or supplement facts, and just really putting it on their packaging. Now, if they would have went, one step further and maybe put it on the sticker on their bottles or on their cans, maybe then I would think this is a little bit more daring. But regardless, it moves the conversation a little bit forward. And I think that's important. This is why this video This is why I made this video. I think it's an important subject. I think it's one of these things that is important to just kind of mention. Even if it was something you saw at the Super Bowl, you were like, oh, that was a great commercial, that was funny, or whatever. You know, there are impacts to those commercials that sometimes have bigger implications than others. I believe, as somebody that works in the CPG industry, it's important for me to bring it up to you guys to just kind of say, hey, this is something that could have a lot of impact, especially if you work in one of the alcohol industries or have some ancillary interest in that. Now, what's at work here? Like, what's kind of happening? Why would Bud Light go out and do this early? Why would they take a risk? I mentioned a little bit before, like, consumers today are now more in tune with ingredients, like what's in their products. You know, that comes from the internet. It also just comes from that information just being readily available. Now, focus more on like the younger consumer, especially millennials growing up in the internet age, because a lot of that clean label movement, a lot of other grocery categories that are also feeling this move to open label, transparent purchase criteria, where consumers look into what exactly is in their product, sometimes even want to know where it was sourced from and what the brand that they're buying from stand for. These consumers that have all the information at their fingertips, have more information on purchase decisions than any other alcohol buying age demographic, they're kind of speaking with their wallets. You look at, I think 80 or 90% of the volume comes from two beer conglomerates, two portfolios. You have Miller Coolers, and then you have Anheuser-Busch InBev. Both of them in 2018 saw declining sales or declining volume. So a lot of that can be attributed to millennials, now the biggest buying power demographic, them changing some of their purchase habits. So now a lot of craft breweries are getting those purchase dollars, ciders. So you're seeing millennials shift some of their spending power towards some other categories. Now, some of those categories are well within those portfolios. They have, you know, very large craft breweries that have ciders and things. So they are capturing some of that just to kind of balance out some of their slower growing, maybe legacy brands like a Bud Light or a Coors Light. But regardless, their main brands, their main legacy brands, their core brands are kind of struggling with that age demographic. So brand like Bud Light, that's owned by AB InBev, is saying, hey, if millennials are looking for transparency and clean label and all the other products they're looking for, they're probably looking for that also in their beer. So we might as well get ahead of this. We might as well put this all out there on nutrition facts and be transparent. It also helps that the one they picked was one of the cleanest in terms of labeling possible. You had Bud Light just only has water, barley, rice, and hops. That's it. So there's no kind of refined product. There's no refined ingredients. There's nothing that could really give a visceral reaction, you know, unless you are, you know, somebody that's a keto or somebody that's on the carnivore diet or something that, you know, somebody that can't consume some of those ingredients. But anybody that gets really fired up about diets and gets really kind of worked up about things, if they're drinking, I completely just shut off. I just don't even listen to them anyways, because it just doesn't make any sense in the first place. You're gonna get so minute in one thing, but you're gonna gloss over a whole other part. You know, the trends, kind of lead you to a certain direction. Bud Light decided to take that direction and see what kind of reaction they get out in the market. Like, is it going to work? I mean, I guess that's the question. Is this going to, change Bud Light's trajectory? Are they going to sell a bunch more Bud Light to millennials? My gut's telling me no. I just really don't think that millennials are really going to fall for that. I think not only are they looking for the clean label, but they're also looking for things that are a little bit deeper that Bud Light really don't check mark those boxes for them. So there might be a short period of time where you see an uptick of sales. I don't know if that's going to be attributed to millennials, but I think just the awareness, I think being different in terms of their marketing and just kind of having something that is differentiated over some of the other light beers will probably help them. Example that I followed, and one that maybe is applied in this scenario, is with Michelob Ultra. When they kind of came out with that ultra light beer and they put over the marketing and packaging like how little the carbs were and how little the calories were, and a lot of like fitness or active people were drinking Michelob Ultras for a time being, like maybe 5 years ago, and that did help increase the sales of Michelob Ultra, I think to the tune of almost like doubling the sales. So I mean, it was a pretty big change. So Another AB InBev brand has tried that before, maybe on a little bit lesser of a scale, so they're going to try it again and kind of push that envelope a little bit and think, hey, this might help Bud Light out. Let's kind of see. So I don't know. I don't know if those things apply. Fun fact, though, if you were wondering, Michelob Ultra is 95 calories and 2.6 grams of carbs. Bud Light is 110 calories at 6.6 grams of carbs. So an ultralight that's really claiming to be fitness oriented and just a light beer in general are not much different. So really doesn't make a material difference if you drink a 12-pack of Bud Light or you drink a 12-pack of Michelob Ultralight. What I find most intriguing about this is not really about how many sales are going to be increased with AB InBev, but more around that it's going to start a trend here, because one of the largest beer SKUs is making a change, and that change is going to create others to follow. And if people that need to follow to stay in line maybe have some questionable ingredients or things that maybe will draw red flags with being transparent, they're going to make those changes to present themselves better to the consumer. So there's going to be a little bit of help to the consumer, a little bit of cleaning up that happens when you hide something behind not having to label. So I think that's going to be the best thing that happens with this. I think that alone is enough to bring up this subject and make this video. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you want to help support me, make sure you guys hit that thumbs up button on this video. If this is the first time you've been introduced to my videos, would love for you guys to be a part of my community by subscribing to my channel. I upload several videos just like this weekly, and if you guys want to connect further outside of this platform, I do include all of my social media links down below. I just want to thank you guys again for your time. Hopefully I gave you some value in return, and we'll see you guys on the next video.